Hey guys and gals, Nary here from Drakewing Gamers. If you're new on Twitter, the Gaming Dragon today, and coming back at you another Let's Play episode of Changeling Tale, Grace's Path. It's wonderful to have Grace back in the spotlight, y'all. Look at that pretty, fishy, dragony, kelpie-ish girl. She's hot. We love her. Let's get right back into her. No. Alright, let's go ahead and start off. Alright, alarm chain, you're up, and let's go. Okay. There's definitely one thing to worry about. Your sister's sanity if she sees you've grown taller than she is.
You'd better go soften Marion up then. I don't want to have to carry her fainted body again.
Nor do I. Perhaps this time you won't give her the double shock of your... I glanced down to her chest. She doesn't even blush.
Not much I can do about that. Most of my old clothes are in tatters, and maybe sisters can help. And while you're there, you can grill her on her romantic life.
Alright. I'll be sure to speak to Marion, but I'm not sure she wants to be grilled. Grace laughs and bends down to kiss me once more.
Go! You can still make it home before your gran awakens, if you're hot-footed.
I nod and turn to leave, then turned once more. Grace, I'll be back.
I'll be here.
Oh my good. Oh, gorgeous art. Another kiss and I'm off. Walking home, frequently turning back to watch Grace splash around the loch. The daylight still shimmers all around her across the water's ripples, but she shines the brightest among it all. She dives into the reflections, lifting her head for quick breaths before ducking back under. No, not breaths she needs, but those she desires. What she loves is the water, her freedom, her own intensity. What I love is her. I remind myself that she loves me too. That our love may be different on the outside, but inside we are destined to have found one another. I keep the thought running while I drag my feet through the rutted dirt paths. My brain spins with memories of that first encounter when I returned home. I'm reminded of her wit, her sharpness, her will and willingness to let people in. Except she let me in, and I won't let her go. Oh, wonderful. I think back on that day until I'm approaching my home, looking towards the windows. At the shine cast from the glass. Those reflections, too, cast a bright hue on my shirt, and I jostle the fabric lightly to create my own ripple of moving light. I pretend I am underwater with her, gliding, swimming, living. And when I step inside, I am alone, without the soul that matches mine. I hope to God that we can build a world outside of the water. Oh. Gran is still snoring away in her bedroom, much to my relief. It gives me time to change my clothes and put on a pot of tea. A moment of loneliness and of welcome peace. Oh no. The whistle of the teapot places me. It tells me I am home. How many kettles worth of tea have been boiled upon this stove? The sound takes me back to my childhood. My mother and father bickering, lowering their voices enough to be heard but their words not understood. So many mornings I heard their arguments, listening from the kitchen table, eating cold porridge. Back then I didn't know it was fighting, but I knew the tea always tasted bitter from both of them forgetting how long it had steeped. I picture a lifetime in this house. The rest of my days on Earth, here with this boiling kettle every morning. Much like falling in love, it entrances me and scares me to death. What if Grace were pure human? Would we just end up bickering over money and work? Over the children? I know I want no part of that, even if it's normal. Maybe normal isn't for me. Maybe I just need more sleep. I smile to myself as I run my hands through my hair and try to block out all that my inner voice is trying to tell me. My hands come out smelling of seawater, of course, Grace leaving her mark everywhere. I heard a bedroom door creak and the shuffling of sturdy feet. It awakens me from my daydream.
Malcolm!
Good morning, Gran.
Spot of tea?
I gave her a quick, soft hug before handing her a teacup and guiding her to her chair.
I didn't hear you come. Another long night?
Aye, it's an adventure to be sure.
Adventure?
I kind of got tangled up, I guess you could say. Nothing I couldn't get myself out of. It's just a bit of a pickle. Pickle? That's the best I can come up with.
Well, you've always been able to take care of yourself, Malcolm. I trust that good things will always come out of a bad situation.
Oh, that I may grow to possess her optimism. I certainly hope so.
Do let me know if I can help in any way.
Ranger quest. I sip the tea, which tastes so perfectly sweet. I can't help but imagine Grace, squeezed in next to us at the table, holding my hand as we talk about our day ahead. The scene seems at once cozy and crazy. It reminds me that, for one thing, Grace will need clothing to be socially presentable, no matter how much she loved to spend her days swimming on natural. Sorry guys, it's late. I'll be heading off to see Marion this morning, to ask a favor. Cran's face lights up.
Oh, of course! Whatever you need to do, I'll be puttering around reading and whatnot. I need to gather carrots for a stew.
I can do that for you, Gran.
Thank you, Malcolm. And what was that you said you wanted from Marion? A favor?
I see where this is going. Yes, I'm such a terrible liar. Perhaps I'd be better off telling a partial truth. I'm looking for some clothing to alter. I need to hone my sewing skills.
I see. Always good to learn a new skill, especially one so useful. Is Marion helping you with your project?
I don't know yet.
Of course she will. She's such a darling. I'm sure she'll just love seeing you.
Gran winks and I blush. I think she's been teaching another man to sew. You remember Douglas Cranach? Gran's nose scrunches up like she smelled a particularly foul fish.
The Cranach boy? Why? Whatever for?
I believe they're a couple, as one might say.
But what about...
I smile so as not to show any dismay.
Well, never mind then.
Gran looks at me quizzically. She's pinned me to another person. I can see the cogs at work in her mind, trying to discern who it might be. Jessie is gone. Marion is taken. It leaves one sister. I picture telling Gran about my real partner, introducing her at the lock and watching poor Agnes faint as fast as Marion did. Gran would wake and try to convince Giant Grace to marry her poor lonely grandson. Perhaps she'd beg Grace to have my children so we can all live together, well, swimmingly. I snorted into my tea and as Gran rises, looking frustrated over losing her favorite MacLeod and her granddaughter-in-law.
Take your time over there. It'll be just fine here with my own activities.
I know by activities she means taking a nap, and I don't begrudge her the rest.
Just don't get yourself caught in any more pickles.
I'll do my best, Gran. She leaves me to go tidy the kitchen. With Gran's seat vacant, I find myself now staring at the wall, counting the cracks, wondering how many cracks are inside of me. How many are inside Grace after a lifetime of rejection and chosen isolation? Are her cracks still here? Still there, after all of her growth? Perhaps many will heal now. I feel the splinters inside me, inside my bones, but I assure myself I too am healing. I down the rest of my cup and get to my feet. If the wall can still stand after 100 years with all that damage, certainly Grace and I can as well. Predictably, I find Marion laboring in the field alone with her herd. She notices me as I come up the road and hurries over.
Malcolm!
Good morning, Marion. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt your work.
It's all right. I'm glad you came. Someone needs to warn Grace.
So much for this morning's reprieve. What hot water is Grace in now? Warn her about what?
I've been meaning to come by your house. I can't find Grace in the lock. I've been so fearful Well, maybe I've been avoiding you both a little. Because it's so worrisome.
Marion's distress is evident. It wouldn't surprise me if Grace is hiding from her older sister, knowing Marion's not yet ready to see her new look. Marion, just tell me. If Grace needs help, I can reach her. Oh no. I take Marion's shoulders in my hands and consider shaking some sense into her, but she takes a deep breath and calms herself down.
It's about Douglas. He's a good man. The best man, really. Such a sweetheart, but...
Marion seems hesitant to continue, although I think I already know where this is going.
He seems dead set on capturing this mermaid of his. I didn't tell him Grace's secret, but I couldn't talk him out of his wild goose chase either. I think he'll be fishing today, and she could be in danger. I should have come with you sooner. I panicked.
I can't say I blame her. Being stuck between saving her sister and supporting her boyfriend's endeavors, it must be taking a terrible toll on her. Still, she should have sought me out earlier. Then I remind myself that I was out all night with Grace. What was Marion to do? I take her hand and reassure her. Don't worry. Grace can handle herself. I don't think Douglas will come after her again. Marion's face falls.
Again? What's already happened? Why aren't you telling me? Did you see Grace Douglas? Did she hurt Douglas?
Her words tumble out in a jumble of anxiety and confusion. I answer carefully, selectively, not to add to Marion's concerns. I visited Grace yesterday, just like you suggested. Douglas wasn't hurt. Grace would never do that.
Did he hurt her?
No. I believe it was a playful exchange, but only hurt her side of things. Even though I leave out most of the details, the relief is plain on Marion's face.
A playful exchange? What on earth would that entail?
Not to be a punster, but probably her tail. Marion cracks a smile. Puns seem to be the key to all of our hearts.
Oh, Malcolm, it must mean the world to Grace for someone to be by her side. When other men would see her as, well...
A fish. I mean it in jest, but the word fish seems to strike a nerve.
It's just that Douglas is a fisherman. Oh, well, no, he's more complicated than that. He's wonderful, really. He holds some old-fashioned beliefs.
Grand's lust for gossip must be rubbing off on me. I find myself wondering what else Marion learned during her dare I say date with Douglas last night. Oh really? What kinds of old-fashioned beliefs?
For the most part, they're charming. He writes poetry, and gives those thoughtful gifts, but he can be quite superstitious.
The Grand's gossip guild reports true. Before going out in his boat, does Douglas really remove all the onions from his home for luck?
All the butter, too. He thinks all sorts of things can be bad omens. Especially, well, Grace.
That's silly. The only thing your sister portends is her special brand of mischief.
I suppose so.
To my surprise, doubt is written all over Marion's expression. You don't believe Grace is really some kind of omen, do you?
I don't know what to believe. I can't comprehend what Grace has become.
I don't entirely know what Grace has become, or is becoming. Is becoming either. But I know that she embraces it, and that's what matters.
We just have to trust...
Wrong voice. We just have to trust her. She's brave now, comfortable, safe. I assure you. I hear my own voice telling myself to believe it, too.
I trust that Grace doesn't understand a whit about what she's gotten herself into. How could she? She's so young, so oblivious.
Are you certain? Your sister's more worldly than you may think. Marion gives me a look of indignation.
Oh, really? You think you know Grace better than I do? Then you'll know she's bound to make trouble. What if she does something reckless? What if she keeps changing?
Marion voices the very valid concerns on which I've been trying not to dwell. Instead, I advocate for the woman I love. Grace's life right now is what she wants. It's not up to us to tell her otherwise, plain and simple.
Hardly plain. Definitely not simple. My sister is a fish.
This is the side of Marion I'd hope not to see. The side Grace resents. Marion has every right to be worried, yet she still refuses to place faith in her sister. It's not about you, Marion. This is Grace's life, I remind you.
She's as irresponsible as a flapper. If you truly have feelings for Grace, then you must protect her.
I'm taken aback by Marion's sudden assignment of responsibility. Although in her role as the family's mother figure, her concern is understandable. It hits me. Marion worries that this is the young woman she has raised. If Marion believes she's done a poor job, she will only blame herself. Grace may appear to have an uncommon head on her shoulders, but I know it's on straight. She has a good upbringing. She's wise beyond her years. She cares about herself and others. Marion's skepticism is palpable.
You're the only one Grace will listen to. She's all but given up on me, I know it.
That's not true. She's just embracing her own independence. The sun is starting to beat down more heavily and the heat is burning my face. I swat away a bee as it buzzes by my nose.
It's up to you to keep her safe, and not just from the fishermen of the world, but from anyone who could hurt her, including yourself.
So you want me to be a good boyfriend? I stand committed to the path Grace wants to take. She knows what's best for us both, I hope. Marion reads my stoic expression and relents.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to imply you had anything but Grace's best interest at heart.
It's alright. This is uncharted waters for all of us.
It is, isn't it? Isn't it just?
She waves a hand, throwing a few more curious bees off course.
These bees just won't relent. I believe there's a hive developing in the chimney. They're just everywhere.
So you need help removing them. Marion straightens her posture and puts on a warm smile. Just like that, she's back to her usual kind-hearted self.
Douglas has offered to come by later today to assist, but thank you, Malcolm.
Her face softens.
My apologies for getting us sidetracked. I'll speak to Douglas. I will address any concerns she has, and maybe he'll leave Grace alone.
Thank you. I wouldn't want your boyfriend to be the demise of my girlfriend. Marion blushes heavily.
Boyfriend? I never... Well, who said anything about... Now, Malcolm, what was it that you came over for?
It takes me a moment to remember. Ah, yes. Do you happen to have changed the clothes for Grace? Something perhaps a few sizes larger. That's so cute. Oh. Oh my. With Marion's care package in hand, I step from the path onto our empty stretch of the coast, only to find it isn't so empty today. Beached upon the shore is a fine sailboat, or rather what once was a fine sailboat. The vessel's pretty beaten up. I wouldn't have guessed it seaworthy, had someone not clearly sailed it here. The gravel crunches beneath my feet as I advance toward the strange craft. I clutch onto Marion's gift tighter. Do we have visitors? As they call Grace's name. Oh god.
Malcolm! There you are!
Her scaly head pokes out over the deck and grins. Grace, goodness, you had me worried. I thought someone had stumbled onto our little secluded beach. There's a signature twinkle in her eye that tells me she's up to no good again.
Ha! Think this old bucket sailed itself? Nah, it's pretty derelict. See? No mast even.
Namaste even? Where'd it come from then? Did it wash ashore?
Bless your dense head, Malcolm. I brought it here, of course.
I blink. The ship must be 15 feet long. I'm no sailor, but I expect it would take a small barge to move it. Or a 10-foot tall amphibian, apparently. I shake my head. You're not borrowing someone's ship again, are you?
Malcolm Campbell, what kind of woman do you take me for? Anyway, does this really look like anyone's prized possession?
I somehow find that unlikely, so I shake my head in agreement.
Don't worry, it's only a shipwreck. This yacht's been rotting away on the opposite shore for years. I've had my eye on it for as long as I can remember, dreaming of restoring it and sailing away.
She pats the wreck and chuckles. Alright guys and gals, I'm gonna pause it right here. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell. Leave a super thanks. If you can, it always helps. Hailing secondhand. Alright, I love you all. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye!